In this video, I will be sharing with you the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023. Number 10, Ghana. Making the number 10 on our list of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023 is Ghana, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of $76 billion. Ghana is a producer of petroleum and natural gas, with the 6th largest crude oil reserves in Africa and the 25th largest in the world. Ghana has poultry, fish and beef, but agriculture, particularly cocoa and gold, contribute about half of the country's gross domestic product. Ghana is also a producer of palm oil, coconut, pineapples, cashew nut, black pepper, yam, cassava and bananas, which have enhanced its position as one of the richest countries in Africa. Number 9, Tanzania. Making the number 9 on our list of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023 is Tanzania, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of $76.6 billion. Tanzania is relying heavily on agricultural processing and certain consumer goods. Agriculture accounts for a quarter of the country's gross domestic output, employing around 80% of the labor force and account for approximately 85% of exports. Tanzania also has mineral resources which include gold, diamond, iron, coal, nickel, tanzanite, uranium and natural gas. The country also has telecommunication, banking, energy and mining industries, which have enhanced its position as one of the richest countries in Africa. Number 8, Ethiopia. Making the number 8 on our list of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023 is Ethiopia, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of $111.2 billion. With one of the highest GDP growth rates in the world at over 10% per year, Ethiopia is ranked the 8th richest country in Africa. Its remarkable GDP growth has allowed a substantial section of the population to transit severe poverty, dropping from 55.5% in 1999 to 26.7% in 2016. Drought, food shortage and political disputes have hampered Ethiopia's agricultural economy, but the country is rapidly moving to an industrial and exporting economy. Despite being one of the richest countries in Africa, Ethiopia is not a member of the World Trade Organization (WTO). Number 7, Kenya. Making the number 7 on our list of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023 is Kenya, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of $114.9 billion. Kenya, the only lower middle income nation in East Africa, according to World Bank, is the 7th richest country in Africa in 2023. The government maintains an open foreign economic exchange system and a market economy with a few state-owned firms. The primary economic sectors are agriculture, forestry, mining, manufacturing, energy, tourism, and financial services. Kenya, the richest country in East Africa, has Sub-Saharan Africa's 3rd largest economy after Nigeria and South Africa. Number 6, Angola. Making the number 6 on our list of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023 is Angola, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of $124.8 billion, with an economy highly reliant on the extraction and sale of natural commodities such as oil and minerals. Angola is the 6th richest country in Africa. Despite 4 decades of independence and civil conflict, economic development skyrocketed between 2002 and 2016. On the other hand, Angola's economy is characterized by its vast economic potential and, on the other hand, by its recovery from the lengthy civil conflict that afflicted the country from 1975 to 2002. Number 5. Morocco. Making the number 5 on our list of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023 is Morocco, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of $142.9 billion. The Kingdom of Morocco is a market economy that has developed at an average annual rate of 4% over the previous decade, with a projected GDP of $142.9 billion in 2023, making it the 5th richest country in Africa. The country's major primary export industries include the automobile industry, the agricultural industry, and phosphates. Tourism, which accounts for 7% of the country's GDP, contributes significantly to Morocco's status as one of the richest countries in Africa. Number 4. Algeria. Making the number 4 on our list of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023 is Algeria, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of $187.1 billion. Algeria is one of Africa's primary oil and gas producers, the continent's 3rd economic power in terms of GDP, and the 4th richest country in Africa. Like many OPEC countries, Algeria is extremely reliant on its oil exports and worldwide market volatility. Since gaining independence in 1962, Algeria has established a dense industrial base through significant economic initiatives, notwithstanding enormous accomplishments in the form of roads, highways, colleges, hospitals, industries, housings, amongst others, which now cements its position as one of the richest countries in Africa. Number 3. South Africa. Making the number 3 on our list of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023 is South Africa, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of $411.5 billion. South Africa, the most industrialized and technologically sophisticated nation on the continent, is the 3rd richest country in Africa. Chromium, magnesium, gold, and platinum remains one of the largest in the country, contributing $13.5 billion annually to the country's gross domestic product. South Africa's economy has diversified since the end of apartheid, particularly in the service sector. Being the richest country in Southern Africa, South Africa accounts for over 25% of the continent's economy and plays a significant role in the region's growth. In 2019, the financial sector of South Africa contributed $41.4 billion to the country's gross domestic product, and by 2021, South African financial institutions were handling more than $1.41 trillion in assets. Number 2, Egypt. Making the number 2 on our list of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023 is Egypt, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of $469.1 billion. Egypt is the leading economic force on the African continent in terms of GDP and the second richest country in Africa. Egypt reform and economic openness program undertaken between 2006 and 2008 to attract international investors and drive development helped the country attain record high annual growth rate of 7%, catapulting it into the ranks of Africa's richest nation. This boom may have lasted longer if not for the global financial crisis of the late 2000s, which lowered growth to 4.7% and negatively impacted export-driven industry, notably manufacturing and tourism. Number 1, Nigeria. Making the number 1 on our list of the top 10 richest countries in Africa in 2023 is Nigeria, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of $504.2 billion. Nigeria is the richest country in Africa due to its human potential, abundance of natural resources, and its GDP in purchasing power parity of $1.3 billion, which is the second largest on the continent. Despite a per capita gross domestic product far below pre-independence level, Nigeria remains the continent's most populous and main oil producer. Although Nigeria is Africa's strongest economic power, its economic structure is akin to that of many other nations on the continent. Even though Nigeria is ranked as the richest country in Africa, the citizens still suffer poverty due to corruption by government officials who embezzle all the hard-earned money of Nigerians.